Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Today's video is another really fun fall DIY video using Dollar Tree calendars. I have a couple of DIYs using the calendars from this year, and then one is using a calendar from last year that I still have some of the images left from. And actually one of these DIYs is a fall / winter reversible DIY, so that's really fun. And we're using primarily Dollar Tree items, which makes this super affordable. Dollar Tree has some really cute calendars available this year, so make sure you take a look and see if there's any that you would want to use in your DIYs. And let's get started into the first one. So for this first one, I have this mason jar sign from Dollar Tree, and I happened to pick up one that the glitter writing was not very much. I think it just, I don't know, just wasn't very much, which was great because I didn't really want the glitter on. So this one takes a couple different turns because I wasn't sure. I really just liked the image here. Like, I thought this mason jar sign was really pretty. I liked the colors. There wasn't a ton of glitter. So I was like, let me see if I can salvage this at all. So what I did was I sanded off the glitter best I could, and then I'm going in with some white Waverly chalk paint, just kind of lightly trying to cover, because once the glitter was removed, you could still very lightly see the writing. And so I was just trying to cover that up, and then I dry brushed with some Waverly chalk paint in the color Mineral, and I did the whole thing. Now, obviously, this by itself doesn't look right, but I was trying to blend in the background of everything else. And then I took some burlap ribbon, also from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cut a piece to go in the middle. And then I have this orange Thankful thing, which is from Target Dollar Spot, I think from last year. It came with like a whole bunch of them. So anyways, that's going to be the fall side. Now we're going to get to the side that's actually going to use a calendar. So what I'm doing is using some white felt, and I'm tracing out with a pencil the shape of the top of the mason jar from the other side, just so that I can try to get the right look and appearance. We're just going to give that a cut. We're going to cut that out. And then I'm taking some white Waverly chalk paint and painting the back side. Now we are going to Mod Podge on top of this, but I just wanted there to be a nice coverage. My understanding is also that if you don't give a good coat of paint, then the other side of the calendar picture will often show through. So I'm painting everything. I even painted over the strings because we're going to cover all of this up. So we're just giving everything a good coat. I love this one because it is a reversible sign, which to me is just great because it can be used for 2 seasons, which means less stuff, but still having the fun with decorating. So I picked out this image from this year's calendar that I showed you, and I think this is the December one, and I'm just going to trace out the part that I'm going to be cutting out. And I was able to get the scripture, the house, and the trees. And so I was able to just get, it was like really perfect to get the right, just perfect placement to get all of the right things that I wanted on this image. One thing I got wrong on this DIY and another one was too much glue and not enough patience. So I still like how they came out. I wanted to try gluing this on with a glue stick. I've seen people do that. And I thought it would help with the wrinkling, but I did still have some wrinkling. So I think I just needed less glue and also more patience in smoothing it out. But nonetheless, I am now just putting the image on top, smoothing it out best I can, and then I'm going to use some hot glue to attach the felt across the top. I also think I should have doubled this up just so that you couldn't see through it at all, just do 2 layers of it. That would have been a very easy thing to do, but I didn't think about it while I was making it, and I'm just gluing over the twine. That way it's all just hidden, and I can use the twine for both sides of the sign. I just didn't take that off. I just left it as is. You can see that that was getting wrinkled, but anyways, now I'm Mod Podging the top of it and a couple of the edges that weren't quite sealed down, and we're just going to give that a coat and let that dry. Like I said, a little less glue and a little more patience would have made this one a little bit better, but that's okay. You live and you learn. And then anything that was hanging over, I just went over with a sanding block once the Mod Podge was dry to clean up the edges of the sign. And then I'm also taking the the Waverly chalk paint in the color Mineral, and I'm dry brushing on the whole thing and then kind of dabbing off with a paper towel. I mainly did the edges, and then I did a little bit on the center just to kind of figured since it was wrinkly, I would just kind of try to go along with like making it look a little aged and weathered. And then I have these stickers. These are from Christmas last year from Dollar Tree. I think they've actually had them a few years in a row. And I just pulled them out and I painted the snowflake with white. And then this is just a couple pieces of greenery. I think it's actually the like garland ties from Dollar Tree, but I was just pulling out some stuff. I wanted it to be somewhat flat because this sign is going to be hanging up against like a wall. And so I didn't want anything super bulky. I almost used some pine cones, but I just went with the greenery and this little white snowflake. And now we're going back to the other side to finish that off. I'm going to hot glue on this burlap ribbon. And then I decided to just put some hot glue on the ribbon and put the thankful sign on top. You can't see any, I know I wasn't sure exactly where I was placing it, but you can't see any of the hot glue through it. It worked out perfectly to do it that way. And I love how this came out. I love that I was able to use the original image, and it's a reversible sign, so I can hang it up and just flip it over once I'm done with my fall stuff, and I'll be ready for Christmas, and actually just all of winter. All right, so for this next one, we're going to go to the back of the calendar and just cut out one of these little squares. You can use these little images as well, which is great. You can get so much bang for your buck. Sorry I did not show you this little picture frame. That is also from the Dollar Tree. They had a few of them. They had one that said mom, one that said family, I think, and this one just says home. And I am cutting out the image for the smaller one, and it honestly was slightly not big enough, but you actually can't tell once you put it in the frame. So this worked out really good. And we're just trimming that up, and that's going to go in the smallest heart. If you are enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps me out so much. And if you're new, please consider subscribing and say hello in the comments as well. I'd love to hear from you. So for the next one, all I'm doing is popping it out, and I just flipped the image that it came with around, and I took the plastic. It's not glass on the front of the frame, it's plastic, but I didn't want to hot glue on that because I want to be able to change this out, so I just put it behind the paper. So if that makes sense. I'm gluing this flower onto a paper, and I'm just going to hot glue it down. It's just one I had in my stash from other years, and I thought this was really cute, and it'd be very easy to switch these out for, you could put pictures in them, or I could switch it out with something else for the different holidays, so I thought that was really fun. So for the next one, I have this picture frame that I picked up at the Dollar Tree, and this is the calendar from last year. And I'm just going to take all the bulky stuff off, and I actually decided to try to peel off this paper because it looked like it was going to come off, and it ended up kind of being a mess, but whatever. I may have not needed to do that at all, but I ended up painting this. First I sanded it down, just those rough edges from where I had peeled the paper off. And then I'm going to give it a coat of paint, which again, maybe I didn't need to. I was kind of trying to figure out as I went how I was going to do this. I had the general idea, but I wasn't totally sure. So I ended up giving this one coat of white Waverly chalk paint, which worked out good to give it a nice base. And then I have this scrapbook paper. I guess this was from Hobby Lobby, but it was just in my stash. I picked it up last year. And I'm just going to make that my background because the image I'm going to use for the calendar is not going to take up this whole thing. I'm cutting this out. I didn't want the autumn or harvest because that wasn't going to fit. So I just tried to cut the homegrown and the red truck with the pumpkins. And I ended up deciding to curve this. So I just took, this is just my like putty container. You could use a glass. I just reached for something, and you can't see it because my head's in the way, but I just traced out some little circles to give me a good template to round out the corners here, erasing the pencil line that's left behind. And then we're going to glue this onto the scrapbook paper. Once again, I'm going in with the glue stick. I know people say they like this method. I just don't know that it's helping helping not have the wrinkles. I don't know. I'm not sold on it yet. I'll probably try a couple more times, but use whatever you want to glue this down. So gluing that down to the scrapbook paper, smoothing it out, and then we're going to Mod Podge the whole thing onto the background. And I got a little Mod Podge happy and tried to just pour it out, and yeah, poured out a little too much and made a mess as I just flung that right off. I'll go back and use that. I'm not wasting that. So this one also got a little bit wrinkly. Again, I think too much glue, and I needed to maybe take some more time to smooth it out. Maybe put like a heavy book on it or something to smooth it out while it dried. That probably would have helped a lot. So I need to just be a little bit more careful with it. But overall, it still came out fine. And you know, when you're going for like farmhouse, rustic look, you can kind of get away with that kind of thing, right? Isn't that the whole idea? Anyway, Mod Podging across the top using the stuff that I threw all over the place. And I'm just taking some twine to give this another detail, and I'm just going to hot glue that around the calendar image, and it just gives a little something extra. It's not like super noticeable, but it just gives a little extra detail. And once that's all done, we're just going to pop it back in the frame. There's no glass or plastic on this frame. It didn't come with any, but there you go. That is it. I think this came out super cute, and I'm excited to use this in my fall decor this year. Well, that's going to do it for today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. That's something that really easy that you can do that helps out my channel, and it helps YouTube recognize that people are enjoying my videos. Also, if you are new, please consider hitting that red subscribe button down below before you leave so that you don't miss out on my future videos. Make sure you hit that notification bell next to it, and that way you'll be sure to see what I've got coming up, which is going to be some more fall DIYs along with everyday stuff for my front porch, stuff for Christmas before you know it. I just like creating things and sharing those ideas with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.